with comedian David Boyle, and I'm quitting alcohol. So at the moment, I'm reading Marcus Aurelius's Meditations. He was one of the old emperors of Rome. Some people say he was the best emperor of Rome. But it's pretty much a Stoic philosophy book. It's not even a book, actually. It's his fucking diary. That's what level this cunt was on. He wrote a few fucking notes down in his diary. Someone found it after he died, and they built a whole fucking philosophy around it. Can you imagine that? If someone found my diary, they're not building a fucking philosophy around it. They're handing it in to the police and going, there's about 20 unsolved fucking crimes in here. Just imagine that. They found your diary and then they built a philosophy around it. It wasn't just some bullshit about Craig having a crush on you. What do guys write in diaries? Do guys ever keep diaries? Has there ever been a teenage boy in history that has kept a diary that isn't gay? It's just too fucking risky. Imagine it getting out. Fuck that. Even if someone said to me, all right, 14-year-old Boyle, I want you to write a diary of your thoughts, your feelings, your hopes and your dreams, your philosophies, and we're going to keep that diary under 24-hour surveillance at Fort Knox. I'd be like, no fucking way. That is too risky. So I'm reading this book and I'm starting to read a lot more as well because I need to fill time. But also I need to have experiences. And reading, you can have experiences that you're not actually living. It's great escapism. It's like taking a fucking holiday. You've got to start reading. I read two ways. I read fiction and non-fiction. And for those of you who don't know the difference between non-fiction and fiction, which I would say is most of you, fiction is meant to be a made-up story. Non-fiction is not made up. Although, if you're talking about autobiographies, most of it's fucking made up. So this is what I do. I read a little bit of non-fiction if I'm trying to fucking get fired up. Like a little bit of Marcus Aurelius before I'm trying to write something, because I'm always trying to avoid writing. But I've found if I sit there for like 20 minutes reading before I start writing, then it makes the writing process a lot fucking easier because I enjoy reading a lot more than I enjoy writing. So the reading gives me an excuse to go to the chair and sit in the chair because I read in my writing chair. So it's easier for me to get to the chair if I'm saying I'm going to do some reading first. And usually the reading lasts longer than 20 minutes because I'm trying to avoid the writing. But the thing is with non-fiction for me is none of it sticks. Like none of the wisdom sticks in my mind. Like you know how people can quote shit? Like famous quotes, inspiring quotes? I don't have one. I couldn't reel one off to you. I have to read them. But none of that shit sticks. But when I'm reading fiction, if they weave some philosophy or wisdom into the narrative of the story, then it makes it so much easier to grasp the fucking idea. I'll give you an example. There was a book I read last year or the year before, I can't remember, The Brothers Karamazov by Fyodor Dostoevsky. And there was a particular scene in it where Dostoevsky is exploring like a guilty conscience. So one of the characters gets rejected by some bird, and he's a sort of aristocrat. So after he gets rejected by her, he's like, fuck this. He breaks into her house and murders her. As soon as he does it, he has a little ping. He's like, fuck, I probably shouldn't have done that, but as long as I don't get caught, I'll be fine. So they investigate this chick's murder. He doesn't even come up as a suspect. They point the finger at some other guy, some cook or cleaner or some bullshit like that, who's a drunk. So anyway, the police are about to go arrest this guy. And before they can go arrest him, they find that this guy had gone to the bar that night, drunk, tried to walk home, passed out, and died in the snow of exposure. He didn't even know he was about to get arrested. He didn't know anything about this. He just got drunk and fucking died in the snow. So the police find him the next day. He's dead. They close the murder case, saying he was the murderer. Everything's fine. This guy, the murderer, is like, thank fuck, I've gotten away with it. It's the perfect fucking murder. They're never going to come after me. And then he's like, for the first 3 to 4, 5 years, I didn't even think about her. It didn't even enter my mind. I'd gotten away with it, didn't care. And then slowly his conscience started fucking eating him. He could never run away from his guilty conscience. That was the only thing he couldn't escape. Obviously, Dostoevsky has a little bit more depth to it than what I'm telling you. But I'm giving you the gist of the fucking story, all right? So anyway, he eventually confesses to everyone that he murdered this chick. No one in town even fucking believes him. Then he shows everyone like the jewelry he took from her. And the people still didn't believe him. They were like, yeah, what do you want us to do? Arrest you? And he didn't give a fuck. He felt liberated. And then he went insane. And then he died like a month later. So the moral of that story is don't murder bitches because you'll feel bad. You'll feel real bad eventually. You'll have a good 4, 5, 6, maybe 10 years afterwards, but eventually you'll feel bad. But my point is, when it's weaved into a narrative, it's much easier to grasp the idea. It becomes like an analogy. But when you're reading non-fiction, nothing fucking sticks like this. This is straight out of Marcus Aurelius's diary. And it's just full of fucking wisdom, this thing. So the first book of the Meditations, he's pretty much just saying what everyone in his life has given to him. Like his fucking mentors and all that sort of shit. So he's like, from my father, I received mildness and an unshakable adherence to decisions deliberately come to, and no empty vanity in respect to so-called honors, and a love of work and thoroughness, and a readiness to hear any suggestions for the common good, and an inflexible determination to give every man his due, and to know by experience when is the time to insist and when to desist, and to suppress all passion for boys. Huh? What? What was that last one? What was that last one? Say it again, Marcus. And to suppress all passion for boys. Marcus, son, you are going to want to fuck kids. Boys in particular. I tell you now, Marcus, suppress. Don't make the same mistakes your father made. Suppress all passion for boys. That is the only thing in the whole fucking diary that I bet you Marcus was like, Jesus Christ, I should have fucking left that bit out. But you see what I mean? How am I going to remember such nuggets of wisdom like that? How am I going to remember to suppress all passion for boys? I need that woven into some sort of narrative for that to stick. Look, I've forgotten it already. What am I supposed to suppress? I can't even remember, but it's a good fucking book. Diary. And he actually says a little bit later on, he's like, I let my desires, he means like sexual desires. I can't remember if he said sexual. Maybe I'm putting words into the emperor's mouth. But he's like, I let my sexual passions get the better of me at certain points, but quickly got them under control. Does that mean you were fucking the kids, Marcus, for a little bit? Does that mean a few kids slipped through the guard and then you got it under control? I want a little bit of clarification here. I need to learn some Latin to get to the bottom of this, because I feel like the translator may be leaving out a few fucking details here. Anyway, at least you've got that bit of wisdom now. You can take that with you. Suppress all passion for... I can't remember. But that'll do for tonight. If you're enjoying the podcast, give it a share around with your friends, and I'll see you the fuck later.